Hello, everybody. It's Monday again, and we're going to do kind of a follow-up episode to last Monday. Peter was on the show with me. He's back again today.
Don't get used to it, baby.
Because last time we talked about our story of going from broke to six figures, which I want to clarify really quickly. That's six figures a year. We have made over seven figures before. I mean, total, like when you add up all the years. But broke to six figures a year. So today we're going to share our top tips for sales, and this is going to be really fun because we didn't talk to each other about the tips that we're bringing today. So I've got 5. We'll see how many Peter has, and we'll see if they're the same. So without ado, I know that's why you guys are listening in. You really want help with growing your business. You really want help with getting more customers, being able to help more people. And let's talk first about the word sales having like a connotation. I think just saying, like, here's our top tips for sales, people are going to be like, oh, sales.
I'm not a salesperson.
Yeah, I don't want to sell.
Well, for starters, that's head trash because you're a walking billboard. You sell no matter whether or not, whether it's talking to your kids,
yes,
influencing them to eat their broccoli, or go to bed on time, or you're talking to your best friend and recommending a restaurant, or you're just interacting with people on a day-to-day basis. The way you show up in life, you're actually presenting a certain person. You're presenting a situation. And a lot of times people will go into a very long laundry list about, oh, I'm not a good salesperson. And then it has bullet points and it has conclusion and an intro and a body. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, you just had an amazing presentation on why you can't do amazing presentations. That's pretty awesome.
You sold me. Okay, people have heard this before though, like, oh, you sell your kids on broccoli, blah, 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 which is great, but they're like, yeah, but I still don't like selling. That doesn't help me. Like, I can sell my kids, but that doesn't help me. So what I would say is, first of all, asking yourself why you have that negative connotation of sales. What happened? What did you start hearing other people say? What experience did you have that made it yuck to you?
It all goes back to the head trash or the life experience that you have, or the life experiences that you've lived up until that point with the lens, and then asking yourself, is that true and does that serve me? Because like it or not, we've all bought something, whether it was an interaction with someone at a department store or a vehicle or you name it, fill in the blank. And a lot of times we had a faulty misconception of what that was. And perhaps they did a poor job, or we walked away from that feeling used or feeling taken advantage of, or some of these other types of things.
Yes.
And so then a lot of times people go, God, I don't want to do that to other people.
Yes.
And we're not saying that at all.
So, well, here's what I would say will help you if you're feeling like that. And then we'll move on to our tips. But selling is just offering someone the opportunity to commit to their vision. That is like having a transaction with someone is letting them commit to their vision that they told you they wanted. Here's what you're saying you don't like. You don't like the type of selling that you have experienced or other people have pointed out to you. But it's not that you don't like selling or you don't like sales. It's the specific experiences or techniques or methods people use. And so my response to people when they say that is, don't do that. If you don't like it, don't do that. Who says you have to sell the same way everybody else does? You don't. You get to set the rules of how you sell and if you're pushy or not. But I will tell you this, sales just means that you have to be an awesome leader. You have to be a leader of yourself. And you have to be a leader in your conversation with your prospect.
Which, honey, guess what? That brings me to my very first point.
Oh, how did I guess? All right, Peter's going to kick it off. Let's see.
So you attract what you are, not what you want to be. So you are something, you're going to attract that versus this perception that you're trying to be, this exterior, the facade you're putting on, the fake. People hate fake. And so if they end up buying from fake, they're going to walk away feeling, ugh, that felt yuck. I don't want that. And unfortunately, we've experienced that in the past.
Yeah.
We don't want that at all. So I would start with, who are you? What are your beliefs? What are your core values? Where's your vision? Where's your mission? What do you want to actually accomplish? And that's where you start. And then you're going to attract a tribe of people that believe and buy into that vision versus this exterior that you're going to try to, slip someone a fast one or convince someone that they don't want, overcoming objections and arm wrestling with people. Get rid of that.
Don't take that to mean that if you're not like the highest version of you, you need to get on to that first before you can start selling. No, like you got to start with where you are. Peter's saying be honest.
Yeah.
Be the best version of you right now that you can be,
Mm-hmm.
because that's who you will attract. And yes, you're going to keep working on yourself. That was a great point number one. And that was not my point number one. My point number one is whoever gives the most value wins, period.
I like it.
And this is a two-part thing. Whoever communicates it in the most compelling and clear way wins. It's never about who has the best product. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on your perspective, it's not about who has the best product. It's whoever gives the most value actually helps people in real ways before there's a transaction, during the transaction, after the transaction, and whoever is communicating that in the most compelling, moving, but clear way. That's where your stories come in. Stories sell, facts tell, 100%. So that's my point number one.
I love that, baby. So back in 2005, this is a journey back into a long time ago. It was a very influential movie that came out, at least was influential for me. It was the movie Hitch. Mm-hmm. And he talks about communication is 60% body language, 30% tone of voice, and 10% is the words you use. Might not be exactly completely factual, but pretty darn close. And I found, this brings me to point number two, I found that a lot of people get hung up on the words. They get hung up on the facts. They start second guessing themselves. When a lot of times what you need is messing with people. It's listening to their stories. It's using subtle humor. It is using a twinkle in your eye. It's eye contact. It's body language. It's how you position yourself. A lot of times, if you're trying to sell someone over a text message thread or an email, those are the weakest methods of communication. Sorry, they just are. And I've seen people write very, very elaborate emails that never get read.
Yeah, that's true.
Or, you're throwing information at someone. And what's that going to do? That's going to chase them away. One of my favorite adages is people hate to be sold, but they love to buy.
Yep.
And the follow-up to that is you can't push a string. You can only pull it. And so a lot of times when you're throwing information at people, what actually is happening is you're pushing that string away from you. And it's information overload. People can't process that. What they want to hear is your heart. They want to hear the real you. They want to hear that confidence in your voice. They want to hear that. And so that also brings me to part two of that, which is use a weaker method of communication to establish an opportunity where you can use a stronger method. I'm going to say that down. I'm going to say that again. Use a weaker method of communication to establish a meeting or establish a scenario where you can use a stronger one. So for example, in my business, I would oftentimes send someone an email, very brief, establishing a time we could get together.
Yes.
Or a text message so we can get together. I'm not going to send them a book via email about why they want to work with me. I'm going to say, hey, let's get together either over a web conference or my favorite in person in your office or in my office where we can actually connect over that and we can hash out ideas. Or a phone call is better because they can at least hear your tone of voice. And that's where a lot of times people you'll push people away. I've done that many times. I've pushed people away. I've pushed the string. I've tried to sell someone and they hate that. People love to buy, and you can establish an opportunity where they can fulfill their dreams versus trying to overload them with all this crazy info.
The same thing applies to selling online. Do not try to give everybody all the information in the DMs. The DMs are a great place to start the conversation. And then it's awesome. Here's an application. Great. Now here's the link to book a call. But when you start word vomiting in the DMs is what I call it, and you're spewing everything, nobody reads it, number one. And two, it's not compelling at all. It doesn't cause them to really have to move or take action. And I remember being so afraid to like ask people to get on the phone. I'm like, oh, but it's so much less intimidating for them to just read it in the DMs. I don't want them to feel intimidated. But here's the thing. If someone is truly interested in hearing about this, getting on a call or filling out an application for more info is not going to stand in their way, right? Like that's how you weed out who is genuinely interested in this and who is just saying yes because they feel bad to say no to you.
Mm.
Because people do feel bad to say no to you in the DMs when you're asking if they want info. So rather than spending all this time sending so much info to all these people that just feel bad saying no, and so they're going to take your time and your info and then do nothing with it, you may as well get a lot fewer yeses that really do want it. Like that's how you find out who wants it and who doesn't.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
And for me, I've done very little online sales, online communication with folks. That hasn't particularly been a huge aspect of my business yet, but the same thing applies. People are going to very quickly see, are you there to sell something versus are you there to serve? And people can smell commission breath from a long ways away. People can smell when you're trying to hit numbers, hit quotas. It feels needy. It feels weird. Instead of going after some of those things, which metrics are great, we want to measure those, but that comes way after your vision. What is your mission? What is your vision? What is the big goals that you're going for yourself and your business and your life? Start with those first. And then the little small details of, oh, did we hit a quota? Did we hit something? All those other things, they fall into place. But first you have to start serving versus trying to throw information at people.
So my point number 2 is to post for your audience, not for you. Or if you don't have an online business, this would be market for your audience, not for you. So many people, Peter and I talk about this all the time, when they're selling, they don't understand that they should stop talking about their product and all of its benefits, because that's not what their client wants to hear. That's not what their ideal client is looking for. And so when I ask them, well, who are you serving and with what? They go, oh, well, this is the product and this is everything that it does. So that's what we're helping people with. And I'm like, no, these are 2 different questions that we're talking about here. When I ask you, who are you serving and with what? That should be in their words, what they think their problem is, not your solution. Because so often people are way farther up in the funnel. I've talked about this before online than you think they are. You're trying to sell to someone that's down at the bottom of the funnel who's already realized the problem, already totally realized you have the solution, and now they're ready to make a decision. But most people that you're selling to, most ideal clients, are way up at the top of the funnel where they're like, I'm just living life, I'm surviving, and I have some pain in my life around different areas.
They showed a tiny bit of interest. And next thing you know, you unloaded on them.
Well, and the reason is because they haven't even identified that the pain in their life is related to your solution.
Yeah.
Because it to them has not even crossed their mind, because in their life, it looks a whole lot different than your solution. So I always say, this is like my example. If you're trying to help a mom who works and she wants to lose weight, are you going to talk about weight loss products? Or are you going to talk about you were late getting the kids to school because you couldn't find anything to wear? That's super frustrating. Which one's going to resonate with her more? Probably talking about late to school, not having anything to wear, because that's her actual pain in her life right now. So that's in her language, her pain point. So she hasn't even put it together consciously in her mind that she needs a weight loss product. She just wants to not be late to school because she's frustrated by her clothes not fitting.
And she's tired and exhausted by all the other weight loss products that she's used and the fact that she's a mom. And so then she has some regret and fear and shame perhaps.
So you need to be talking to, hey, I know you're frustrated about being late because you can't find anything to wear and you're feeling this and you're feeling that. That's when people go, whoa, who are you? Like, what are you talking about? You have a water solution? Yes, I'll take it. Right? No, I'm throwing that out there because that's how random the connection could be once you start speaking to them in their language.
Yeah.
So go to the top of the funnel, all the way up to where they are at, and bring them down to the bottom of the funnel.
Oh, baby, this is great because that was my point number 3.
Oh, we do have similar.
I started off with, it's an analogy. So it's like dating, or my favorite, like starting a fire.
I say this all the time.
Whoever has started a fire out in the woods or but I'm not talking one of those flip things. Oh, great, the gas is burning now. I'm talking about you are burning wood in a actual real fire pit. Okay, a pyromaniac here.
I like my gas fireplaces.
Well, nothing against them. Those are great. And there's something to be said for a real, genuine fire that's roaring and you smell the fresh aromas of, well, I'm going to keep going.
Yes.
A fire. So what do you have to do first? You have to have a match. There has to be some sort of spark. There has to be some interest. Now, a lot of times if that match is struck and then there's nothing for it to burn, it's going to go out. So a lot of times if someone shows interest and you don't follow up with them, you lost them. There needs to be some type of reciprocity. It's that dance when we're dating. It's you did this, and so then I did that, and you did this, and I did that. And then we kept going back and forth and back and forth. And then you're going to add a small piece or pieces of wood to your fire. You don't show up with a gigantic heaping armload and dump it. Oh my gosh, I got a match to light, and poosh, you just extinguished your fire. It's way better to start off with some little things and little tidbits and get it going. Continually work on getting it bigger, bigger, bigger until you've got this roaring, blazing fire, which is amazing. That's my favorite analogy to this whole entire scenario, which is basically, here's point number 3 for me. Over 80% of sales happen between interaction number 5 and number 11. A few small sales happen before that, and occasionally sales happen after that. That's the magic number, somewhere between 5 and 11. So has someone seen your stories and seen your posts and seen your videos? Or in my case, have I followed up with them and had a quick phone call or sent them a quick response? Or they saw something that piqued their interest that I was...
They got a freebie, they got on my webinar,
something.
They participated in my live.
And that's where those small interactions, you're establishing a foundation.
Yep.
There was a spark, and you were able to continually follow up with that. And next thing you know, back to the funnel analogy you used a minute ago, it's a steady progression step. You don't want to take someone who is incredibly cold, but there's a small interest. The next thing you know, whoosh, you just dumped on them. You also don't want to just let them go, because next thing you know, that was interaction number 1, and all right, see you later.
Yeah. That
would be my tip number 3, is realize it's a process and understand it's going to take time, and you have to walk through that process with everyone.
Well, that walks right into my point number 3, because my point number 3 is habitual consistency. You have to show up daily and add real value to people. This cannot be a one and done thing. And it's going to be day after day after day after day, sometimes for months or maybe even a couple of years, where you're showing up consistently, adding value to people's lives until finally they're like, I really do need this person, or I really do need this thing, or okay, finally, like, I get it. I see the light. So my tip for that is save good content and repurpose it. You guys, if you go look at my Instagram now, you're going to notice that I repurpose content all the time. I repurpose lives into IGTVs. I will tweak posts and change them and repost them. When something is really good or it really resonates, save that. You can always tweak it, change it a little bit, use a different picture, and then post it again, because this has to be like a long haul thing.
That's awesome. My next one would be show genuine interest. You have to be real. You can't be fake. If someone figures out after a while that you're a fake, they're going to actually feel that, and they're going to intuitively sense it. It's not something that people are going to sit there and go, oh my gosh, they're fake. But the subconscious you is going to make a decision based on things. And next thing you know, you're going to look for facts to back that up. People make decisions based on emotion, and then they use facts to back up the decision they already made with emotion.
Yep.
And that emotion happens subconsciously. They're not even consciously thinking about that. So some practical pointers with that. You have to show empathy. That's not sympathy. True, genuine empathy. Back to the mom in the closet not knowing what to wear. Empathy is something that's going to grab her attention. Sympathy is going to push her away.
Yeah.
I've heard it said, God gave us 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason, and also 2 hands for a reason. Because we want to listen. We want to notice.
Yeah. We're
going to speak less, and then we're going to use our hands to actually follow up and serve.
Yeah.
And so the practicals on that are going to be, you want to ask great questions. And then you want to ask even better follow-up questions. Don't just stop with a question. Sometimes someone's going to give you a blah answer. And you need to know then, okay, I need to ask a better follow-up question. And you have to practice that.
Yeah.
People have a fundamental need. This is a saying I've heard. People have a fundamental need to be heard and understood. And so if you've left a conversation with someone and you've done the majority of the talking, you've been pushing and pushing and pushing at them. And you might have thought, oh my gosh, that was great. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And they walked away feeling, I didn't really feel like I got heard or understood.
Yeah.
So it's incredibly critical to ask great questions, let them do the talking, and they'll literally walk their way straight into your opportunity that you're presenting. If you find that you're trying to shovel information at people, unfortunately, you have it backwards. You're using your mouth too much and not using your ears and your eyes enough.
Yeah, for sure. My next point actually kind of goes with your point number 1, and it's all about integrity. Being the person offline that you are online. Mm-hmm. I remember a couple years ago at a training at my network marketing event, hearing someone say, like, I know how to turn it on for the cameras, so I turn it on for the cameras. And like, you guys should learn that too, because you want to be a certain persona online to attract the type of people you wanted. And for a long time, I did that. I bought into that. I thought, oh yeah, even if I'm not feeling it, I need to be this person online, which, okay, nothing wrong with that. Because yeah, there are times we're not feeling it and we have to learn how to get our energy up, right? And serve at a higher level. But last year, when I started doing more work every single day on being the person of integrity that I was asking other people to be, if I was going to ask other people to journal, then I was getting up and journaling every day. If I was going to ask other people to do affirmations, then I'm getting up doing my affirmations every day. You know what I'm saying? So I really dug into being the same person off camera or better as I am on camera. And that's what people buy. That's what people can tell. People can smell fake a mile away. They don't like fake. They, for sure, after like Corona and everything, people are craving like real community. People are craving realness. And so you tap into that when you decide to be that person when there aren't cameras watching. Be that person that goes the extra mile when the camera's not on you. Be the person that stays up and finishes her list because she said she was going to earlier online.
Mm. That's amazing. Because for me, I was going to close with, people won't believe it if you don't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
People don't buy a product, they buy you. People, a lot of times when I've had some of my biggest successes and I've been able to help out the most people, a lot of times either I asked them afterwards or they just told me, the product you have is cool, but I believed in it because you believed in it.
Yes.
So people buy your energy.
Yes, they do.
They buy your enthusiasm, your charisma, your excitement, your confidence. That's real. That's genuine. You can't also ask somebody to do something unless you've also first done it yourself.
Yep.
A lot of times in my world, I was approaching things with a quote unquote cheap or free or give it away mindset because I wasn't taking it seriously. When I bought something myself, and I really understood it and I did it myself, then that's when I could turn around and say, hey, guess what? And now I'm speaking from a position of confidence there.
This is worth the investment. I know, I invested.
Yeah. And, I just want to pause and say this right now. people are getting bombarded now more than ever with information that's coming at them.
Yes.
You look at the TV ads that we get, the ads on our social media feeds, on our email, on the billboards we see, on the radio, on that, just fill in the blank. There's information coming at us all the time. Now, unfortunately, that creates distrust because people are being constantly pushed and sold and coerced, and there's information coming at people all the time. How do you differentiate yourself from that? You differentiate yourself by being real, and you are going to attract what you are. Again, it's one of my first points that I made a moment ago. So if you're real, if you're genuine, if you believe it, if you show your charisma, that's going to attract them, and they're going to show up and like, that's exactly what I was looking for. And they will literally feed off of your enthusiasm.
Which goes perfectly into my last point, which is people don't care what you say, they care how you make them feel. So don't just spit out value or tips or training with no personality, right? And no emotion. Be a person that makes them feel a certain way, because honestly, you guys, the way they feel around you is what will make them buy into you. That's why I bought into my mentor. I loved how I felt watching her stories. I loved how I felt from her podcast. I love how I felt from her posts. And I was like, I got to be around this person. And so that's what made me buy a ticket to her event. And then when I was around her at the event, I was like, I got to be around you more. Like, so people will buy how you make them feel. And a big part of how you make them feel is not only your own energy and working on your own vibration, but it's having a personality, like Peter just said, being real. And then I think it's not being afraid to be vulnerable, not being afraid to let people in, let the walls down, take some risks, give your real opinion on things, but also be someone who genuinely has a real heart for these people, whether or not they ever buy from you. People can feel that for sure. I think I surprise people sometimes because I'm like, love you, when they're like messaging me on Instagram and we don't really even know each other. They're like, and they write back, they're like, oh my gosh, I know we don't even know each other that well, but I totally feel like I love you too. And I got to the point of realizing like, this person does not have to do anything for me to love them. I don't have to know them incredibly well. I don't have to have them buy from me for me to choose to be the person to love others. I believe I'm on this planet to share love, to love other people, to become better, right? Love is what transforms. Love is what helps people grow. It's not any other thing other than love. So the best thing I can do is to genuinely love everyone that comes across my path. And I'm constantly trying to put that out there with people and make them feel loved when they interact with me. And that's what people remember. And that's what they want to buy into.
You okay if I throw out a couple of bonus?
Yeah, go ahead. Bonuses.
Couple things that really, really worked for me. Eliminating distractions in your communication style.
Yeah.
You have to watch yourself. You're going to be a constant student of your craft. Yes, you do need to be real. You do need to be genuine, but there's some things that are just there that are distracting that are going to really prohibit or inhibit people from hearing the message that you're saying. It's things like pauses, awkward pauses, blah, 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 all these different things. I stumble around with my words. I beat around the bush a lot, but it's a constant struggle of mine to actually say what I want to say and be bold and be genuine and I can step out and say exactly what I want to say. So a lot of times I've used distractions in my communication style, and that watered down what I was trying to say.
Yeah. But that takes practice. Don't let that hold you back from putting yourself out there right now.
Totally. You can take a video of yourself and watch it. I loved being able to train. I trained about 50 people with the team that I was on over a period of years. And my favorite thing was to have a presentation in front of a client and have a second set of eyes there looking over my shoulder. Now, if I know the information so well that I can teach someone else, and that's where it shows I've actually truly, genuinely arrived, and I know that info. But I would use that as an opportunity. oh my gosh, I'd been in the industry for years and years and years, and they'd been in it for a couple of weeks. But I would ask them, what was your biggest takeaway from that meeting? Is there anything that really stuck with you that was awesome? And then also ask for corrective feedback. Did you notice something that I missed when you were sitting there? Did I lose the client in that type of communication? So in practical sense, sometimes you need a second set of eyes, or a coach or somebody else to actually look over your shoulder and do a quick audit of what you're doing. That was a huge, huge point for me. And when I was helping other people learn, I was actually doing the most learning.
Oh, yeah.
Profound.
Teaching what you're learning will help you learn it the best.
Yeah. Couple last things, price versus value. So if people are hung up on the price for something, they haven't truly seen the value. If you get something for free or for a minimal price, you're going to view it a certain way. It's free or it's a minimal price tag. If you had to pay a lot, you would invest a lot. You had to bend over backwards to make it happen. You're going to value that a lot more. I find that a lot of people that step into a role where ultimately they do need to sell something, there is an exchange of value, there's an exchange of product, they don't value it themselves. And if you don't value it, the people you're looking to influence aren't going to value it themselves. So if your calendar is free, if you can take a meeting in 20 minutes, if they can show up late and leave early and they're on their phone and there's constant distractions and you allow that, unfortunately, they're not going to respect you. It's the difference in showing up to an urgent care physician versus showing up to a plastic surgeon or a specialist that takes months and months and months to get in with. If I can show up to urgent care at any point in time, I'm going to view them a certain way. When I'm sick and I need something, I'm going to show up. Versus if I have to put an appointment on the calendar and it's going to take months and months and months and it's a hefty price, I'm going to treat that appointment a little bit differently. I'm going to have it circled on my calendar. I'm going to be telling other people about it. I'm going to remember it. I'm going to show up there early. I'm going to view that completely differently than, I can show up at 11 o'clock at night at urgent care and get a pill because my head's killing me.
How this translates practically to online is not being on your phone answering DMs all the time. Literally, that's what it comes down to, because when you're selling online, you can have this fear of, if I don't respond right away, I'm going to lose the sale. But you need to trust that if that person really wants to work with you badly enough, you can have working hours and stick to those working hours. And that is step number one in showing them how to treat you. We always treat people how to treat us. And so we teach people how to treat us, is what I meant to say. And that's step number one to teaching them how to treat you, is that you're not available 24/7, because you're not. You do have a life. You are not run by your business and you're not desperate for this sale.
And they're going to respect you much more so that way. People respect you if you tell them no. If it's always yes, 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 I'm going to respond in every 20 seconds, etc., they're not going to respect you as much. Remember, they're going to buy your enthusiasm, your energy, your charisma, your confidence, your excitement. And unfortunately, a lot of times we're going to show up as needy, desperate, broke, fake, scared. And that's the vibe we're putting off. Now, that's part of the self-care that you need to do for yourself, and the work you're going to do on yourself is working on that mentality. But if I'm showing up because I've got to pay the rent this month, well, people are going to feel that. It's going to subconsciously come off in every interaction I do, everything I say.
I want to touch really quickly. Peter said earlier about you haven't shown them the value enough. I used to make the mistake of thinking that meant that I needed to break down how much the product usually was, and so how much they were getting it for such a steal. While that is all fine and dandy, again, that doesn't translate.
It's a sale.
Well, that doesn't translate to your person and where they're at in the funnel. So it's not, you haven't shown them the value enough of the product. It's, you haven't shown them the value enough of what it will do in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the difference? It is not, oh, I haven't explained the amazing value in this product they're getting. Like, this price is nothing for the value this product is. awesome, but that doesn't compel someone to buy. It's, I haven't shown you the value of the person you're going to be with this product, or the marriage you're going to have, or the business you're going to have, or the health you're going to have, like how you're going to feel in your life every day when you wake up. That's when people are like, oh, I see the value. Okay, how much is it again? I'll totally pay for that right now. So show them the value of what they're going to get in their life, in their language.
And how it's going to impact their world. It's
Yeah.
not what's going on in my world and here's all the features and benefits for why you need this. You need to step out of your world. It's the word picture I love to use is I need to step around their side of the desk and I'm sitting down and now we're sitting side by side, opening up the business's books and working on a problem together. Well, that's my industry, but it applies to everyone else's industry. It's like you're helping the mom in her closet trying on clothes. You are working with someone side by side and experiencing the pain along with them. That's true empathy versus I'm over here trying to push something on someone. And why don't they see the value in this? You actually have to feel the value. And the value is based on how it's going to transform them versus all the facts and features and benefits that you have.
It's stepping into their shoes and their perspective of the problem. And then when you understand their perspective of the problem, you can understand the perspective of the solution and how to present the solution in that way to them.
And last bonus tip, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. You are a work in process. And the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. And so there was this very, very impactful billboard. It was a quote that was on a wall at the gym I used to work out with when I was a teenager. It was a guy swimming at the finish line of this big race. It was the last stroke and he was winning and the crowd was cheering. And right below it, it said, success is what happens when 10,000 hours of training meets with one moment of opportunity. You can't fake the 10,000 hours, but you need to look out for those moments of opportunity. Don't miss them. Don't blink. And so in my life, I've constantly looked to grow, whether it's getting a coach, reading very thoroughly a book or books on the product, listening to great podcasts, listening to great information, things like that versus filling your head with head trash and stuff that's not going to serve you and serve the best version of you. So again, it's 10,000 hours of training. It sounds like a long time, and it is. You can't fake that. But you also need to look out for those moments of opportunity. And that's when magic happens.
All right, you guys, those are our core principles for sales. I hope you loved this episode. Take a screenshot, share it out on your stories. Tell me which tip you loved the most, because I would love to hear that. And as always, go have an amazing day. Thank you so much for listening in.